Welcome to the Sheila Mack Show, reality at its finest. Here we have real people sharing real stories and actionable steps to help you reinvent, rebuild, and reboot your life on your terms. I'm your host, Sheila Mack, and today we have special guest Raj Subrameyer. He is an international keynote speaker, author, and a tech career coach. He helps people land their dream job and become successful leaders. He has helped countless individuals discover their zone of genius and leverage it to live a life they love. He is a sought-after speaker at various conferences and has been featured in numerous podcasts and publications, including Authority Magazine, Thrive Global, Addicted to Success, and the Good Men Project. He is also the author of a new book, Skyrocket Your Career. In his spare time, he loves traveling with his family and discovering new experiences, which include craft beer, not Corona. Yep. And you can connect with him on Twitter at Epsilon11 or his website, and he will share that at the end of this interview. All right, welcome to the show, Raj.
Thanks for having me. Super excited to be here.
Yes. Okay, so my show is based on my latest best-selling book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. And this year, we have been hit globally by every single situation you can imagine. So I'd love to start off with maybe if you could share a story about your business or personal life and a time you had a rock bottom or tough situation and how you got back on track.
Yeah, wow. There's so many examples for that. So just to provide some context, let me start with my first life-changing experience, which kind of led me to where I am today. So I grew up in the southern part of India in a really conservative middle-class family. I was the younger of the two kids. Or I am the younger of the two kids. And since a young age, I had this inferiority complex that I wasn't good enough. I didn't matter. That's because my dad was super smart. My brother was a genius. And then there I was, the average Joe who didn't do well in academics, right? So I put a lot of pressure on myself to emulate other overachievers around me. And every time I did that, I ended up in disappointment because I could never reach to other people's level of expectations. So I developed this low self-esteem, high self-doubt, and also had fear of rejection. In fact, just talking to a girl would feel as if I'm going to get a nervous breakdown, right? So I still remember this. During my 8th grade, I had a crush on this girl. And it took me 3 weeks to actually say hi to her because every time she passed me or I went next to her, I used to be sweating and stuttering. And I'm talking about that kind of nervous wreck I was right before. And to add to this, I was also going through severe body image issues. I grew up as a fat kid, and I was ridiculed for my weight by my own family members and friends as well. So this kind of followed along till my second year of my undergrad, and that's when it happened. I still remember this incident vividly. My chest started hurting, and my heart started beating really, really fast, like tuck, 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 tuck. And I was gasping for breath. And then I came to my study room just to sit down, and I could feel my hand shaking, my body trembling. I was sweating, and slowly I noticed that tears are starting to fill up my eyes, and then I could feel it trickling down my cheeks. And also, I realized that the physical pain in my chest is starting to shift towards my head. So it's no more just a physical pain, but it's mental pain. Because 20 years of living a life in false identity, living a life for other people, living a life to not being ignored by other people, and living a life filled with anxiety, stress, depression, all these feelings which had bottled up inside me exploded. And the Pandora box of feelings kind of, came out. And that's when I realized that all this while, I was trying to please other people. I was trying to not disappoint them. But by doing that, I was actually disappointing myself.
Yes.
I was letting other people's opinion be my reality. And that's when I made a decision and I realized that, you know what? I matter. I'm enough. I'm going to carve my own identity and I'm going to strive for greatness. That's when I declared power over my life. And that life-changing moment during my second year of my undergrad kind of paved the way to everything which I've been doing and what I am right now as well. And that kind of led to my transformation from a shy, introverted kid earning a minimum salary into an international keynote speaker, author, and tech career coach running a six-figure business, right? So that was kind of the main trigger event. And of course, I've gone through other adversities, which we can talk about as and when we go through this talk as well. So,
wow. Yes. And it sounds, everything you've mentioned, really, a time in a person's life, I think we all kind of go to one of those or all of those places. And I'm not sure why, or if it's, commercials or the teachers or the parents or what is it that we try so hard to have other people accept us, but they want us to be the way they want us to be. And we shun our own light, our own essence and truth to please everybody. And it's so wrong. It's like you're wearing the wrong size shoe and it hurts your soul of your foot, on your personal soul. It hurts because it's so painful. It's not the right shoe. It's not
right. There's a word for it which I use quite often, which is comparison anxiety. Especially coming from an Asian community. And if those of you watching or listening who are Asians, they can relate to it, because we are pretty much given like three choices when growing up. Either be a doctor, lawyer, or engineer, okay? And you choose one and then go with it. And the meaning of success and the meaning of happiness in life is different. They think that success means finding a great job and then buying a house, settling down, earning money, then having a family, having kids, and life goes on, right? And that was kind of the stigma, at least till about 5-6 years ago. Yeah, at least in my previous generations. But now, I think success has a different meaning. It's about how you impact yourself and other people. What value do you bring just being born on this earth, right? Because everyone is born on this earth for a reason.
Yes.
And it's our responsibility to find out what the reason is. And during that journey, you are going to face a lot of failures. But you shouldn't let that hinder you. You should always take that as a learning experience. Of course, acknowledge it, recognize it, then stand back up and keep marching. So comparison anxiety, where you constantly keep comparing with other people because of society, because of so many other factors, that leads to this whole big drop, big low in your life. But that's what helps in the discovery of different things about yourself so that you can pave your own path and your own identity.
Yes. And I mean, I don't know, in my life, I've had friends and relatives and people that love me very much. And oh, Sheila, no, you can't go do that. Just go get a job, go to school, do these things. You have these degrees, you can go do these things and, you'll be fine. Marry a rich man or something. And
exactly.
I'm like, well, that's nice, but gosh, I want to do this, and I know I can make far more money than if I took that one job. And then maybe 4 months, 6 months later, as I did the work, they come back and they say, I don't know, you're a little crazy. You're kind of not following the norm, but you know how to make money. So hats off to you. And I'm like, thank you, because you know what you already know. You kind of, I mean, when you're starting out, you have to try, and there's lots of failures and ups and downs, learning curve to success. It's not always a straight road, but after you've done certain things enough, you kind of know, I could pick up tomorrow with nothing and start over again, because I know what I have inside of me and who I am.
And to think about it, you make a great point, because anything we do in life and anything we use in real life, our iPhones, the Teslas, all these things were built by people who had a vision, who were viewed as an outcast in the society, but they stuck to their guts, they stuck to their own identity, and they believed in themselves, right?
Mhm.
Steve Jobs, people thought he was crazy. Who would use their finger to do stuff on your phone? And literally, our life runs on the iPhone. And
Yeah.
then Elon Musk, people thought he was crazy. How can you make reusable rockets which can go to the moon? No, no, no. It takes millions of dollars. No, I can do it under $200,000, right? And then Elon Musk showed people what he can do. So I think the dreamers and the people who we consider are great visionaries are people who had to go through the exact same situation which you were just mentioning. You have to go through adversities. You have to go through experiences which challenges your belief system. But once you push through it, that's when you discover your zone of genius and how you can impact people as well.
Yes, very much. I mean, I wrote my book based on my house fire back in 2017 in California. I had just purchased a new home. And after traveling 7 years, I did a lot with the Tony Robbins group and traveled full time and had a blast. And I'm finally settled down in my new house, and my daughter was going to move over. And then the day I had everything perfect, all the furniture, everything moved in, it burned down. And I knew I got this. And within a month, I ended up getting invited to Beverly Hills and working with a big team and getting a better house and having a vacation house within a year and all these beautiful things. But it was a mindset and also a knowing that I've had ups and downs in life. So I know a system to get back on track quickly. And I go back and visit people are still mentally stuck in 2017.
Exactly.
Yes.
So just to add to that, let me share a story because that kind of touches upon the mindset and belief system, because what you touched upon is a really important thing for people to keep in mind, because how you train your mind or how you think is how you're going to act, right? So of course, from my Texas accent, I was not born here, right? So I was from southern part of India, but I came to the US in 2008, and I still remember this vividly because it was August 31st, 2008. And here I was with big dreams coming to a new foreign land. And then a week after I came, on September 7th, 2008, Lehman Brothers fell, which was the largest financial firm in the world. For people who do not know what I'm talking about, they became bankrupt overnight, and that kind of triggered the whole recession. And I came as an immigrant in the midst of a recession. And no one was ready to sponsor my work permit, because if you want to work in the US, you need company to sponsor your work permit. And I had two choices. One was go back from where I came from with half of my class who were international students, or stick around, do whatever it takes, and see what can come out of it. Luckily, I chose the second option. And from the beginning of 2009 till end of 2009, I applied for 1,293 jobs. And guess how many callbacks I got from the 1,293 jobs?
Oh, how many?
4.
Wow.
4 callbacks. For all the math nerds out there, it's a 0.3% conversion rate. And I converted 1 job out of it. And that too was not a full-time job. It was an internship. But since then, I worked my ass off to prove to people that I can provide value, I can give value, I can help my team and help the company to grow, right? But that one decision I made pretty much paved the way for everything I'm doing right now. So why I'm sharing this story is basically to stress on mindset and belief system. When I do tech career coaching for a living, where I help people in the tech industry find their dream job and become successful leaders, right? And people think I do a lot of strategies magic things which actually makes them great leaders, right? Yes, I do a lot of strategies, but it starts with, again, mindset and belief system. This is what I tell them. If you think you're worth $50,000, then the way you show up, the way you act, the way you think is going to reflect a person who is earning $50,000. But if you think you're worth $200,000, then the way you show up, the way you think, the way you react, it's going to reflect a person who's earning $200,000. So just to add to what you were saying, yes, it all starts with mindset and belief system. Adversities are always going to happen, right? And simple examples, now we have COVID, and people think it's controlling our lives, right? Then before that, we had the anthrax. Then before that, we had 9/11. Before that, we had the 2001 dot-com bubble. And there are going to be things happening in our lives, right? That is life, because life is a bitch. We all know that. It's going to hit you when you least expect it. But one thing always to remember is you would not control the circumstances, but you control your actions under any circumstances. When you start with that, I think that's when the magic happens, and that's when the transformation happens.
Yes, I totally agree. And it's something that learning that mindset, once you've had a reset, a reboot in your life, and you see what you've done, you always have that within you. Like, I just knew, oh, I've got this. And it was that mindset. But it's the more you experience these ups and downs, we can't control these things. But the more we experience life, if you live long enough, you're going to experience life, and it's not all happy. But with that, we can decide to choose to be our happiest, even given the interesting times that we may find ourselves in. But the time is going to go by anyway. And it's our decision how we're going to live, how we're going to show up, and who we're going to be in all that we're doing every day. And that is going to affect, as leaders, you could go in as the janitor at a business, and if you're the leader when you're going in with good energy,
right?
You're the leader, and you will affect the entire team. You go in, you see somebody come in with negative, everybody goes down. Productivity goes down. I mean, it's like, if you don't want to be here, I'd tell my employees. I had over 200 employees, gift stores, and I would tell them, if you don't want to show up today, I don't want you to show up, because my clients will feel it. The other people here will feel it. I'll feel it. Just stay home. I'll make more money if you stay home.
Yeah, the negative energy, right? It consumes you. That's why people always say, always surround yourself with positive people, people who can uplift you, people who can cheer you on, people who can support you, right? And that is so true. And one thing I just remembered, based on our current discussion, is I think we both do not mean that when we have the mindset change, it doesn't mean we don't have fear. There's always going to be fear in terms of, okay, I do have the fear of the unknowns. I do have the fear of, okay, what's going to happen, right? So just to be clear here, when I was talking about my story and mindset, beliefs and belief system, we all have fears, even me, even you. But instead of letting fear consume us, we should let it drive us. Fear is good, because people think fear is bad. Fear is good. That's when you get out of your comfort zone. That's when you start discovering possibilities, right? So for example, just take this year, because you just started with what were some adversities in your life and how did you turn it around? Let's just take COVID, for example. Me being a small business owner running my own business, of course my business was impacted, because I do speaking for a living. I speak in front of thousands of people. Now, all my speaking is like how I'm speaking to you right now. It doesn't matter, right? So my speaking business was kind of down. Then my writing business, companies weren't able to afford to pay me for my services, right? That's when we have to start thinking about, okay, I see what's happening. Yes, I am scared, but I see what's happening. And like you said, I've been here before.
Yeah.
So what can we do about it? So that's when I pivoted and I decided to write my book, right? So why I'm sharing this is basically in any adversity, there's an opportunity. You just have to let your mind recognize it and let it flow instead of preventing it from letting open up your mind to different opportunities, right? Because a lot of people, if the mind thinks negative, they think, okay, oh, don't think negative, it's very bad, it's really bad for me. But no, let your mind flow, because that's when you know, okay, I'm doing this, is this going to be good? I'm doing this, I don't think this is going to work out. So that's when the reality kicks in for you as well. So
Yes, and it's the willingness to course correct and change. When I opened that first business years ago, 23 years old, I opened this gift store, $5,000 a month. I don't even know how I got the lease. Like, how much? And they gave me 6 months free, and I had to figure out how to make $5,000 a month in 6 months, and I had to fill the store with inventory. The first thing I did was buy the wrong products, because the clients, they were all grandparents in the neighborhood that I started in Montrose, California. So it was like an older community at the time. And I wanted to see, I had to change based on the feedback. Oh, you want this? Oh, let's see what everybody else wants. What are you buying in the other stores? What's most important? We'd ask. And then I would get rid of those products at the swap meet and, and, basically give them away to get money to buy what works, and negotiate with the people selling at the trade shows to get the 75% off wholesale to get my store filled. And I kept course correcting until, before you know it, my store is paying for me to buy 4 other buildings that I bought.
Nice.
And paid for with that business, because it really wasn't mine. It was me adding value to the clients.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what it was. It was about them. It wasn't about me. I had to play what I called, when I was 23, I said, I have to play the grandma music because, the Frank Sinatra,
right,
they liked. I couldn't play my 23-year-old music and think that they were going to be happy in my store. So I had to do all that. And so it's the willingness to course correct constantly until you get that, and then you fine tune it, and something like COVID happens, and now you have to course correct again.
Exactly. It's about validated learning. There's this book by Eric Rice. It's called The Lean Startup, and he talks about validated learning, which is try the minimal viable product. What's the minimal thing you could do where you can get feedback about what's happening, and then pivot and then add something to it, right? So in your case, for example, your store, just taking, for example, the music. So you try different music, right, to see what works, and then you take notes. Okay, people relate to this. Oh, people were asking about this music. Okay, majority of my audience like this kind of music. So you're constantly getting feedback. Right? So do the MVP, the minimal thing which works, and then collect feedback, and then add on top of that, add on top of that, add on top of that. And that's when you start discovering different things which actually works, right? So yeah, Why Do You Mention was a great example for it.
And I think it's almost like when you have your own business and you're an entrepreneur, you love it, your heart's in it, you're looking at it so close, like your hand, every aspect. And I would say, I know this business like my hand, but I need a different perspective. And I would pay different people to come in and give me feedback. What do you see? What's right? What's wrong? What do we need to change? And it would be like, oh, I've been in this building so long, I can't see anymore. I'm looking so close at my business. I need other people's perspective. So doing surveys, online surveys, asking people, is really going to help you course correct, and you could double your money. I doubled my money that first year. I hired marketing for 3 months. They taught me how to market, and then I learned how to do it, and I did it myself.
Right.
and from there on, but I needed that, and then I would just continually do what they asked, and it paid for itself and paid for more property, until I was able to then later close the stores, rent out the buildings because they were paid for, and have passive income.
Right. Definitely.
exit strategy. And then I got my real estate license and I started teaching the other store owners that ran businesses to buy the building. Now, this is back in the day when you could actually buy buildings in California. So it's
right. That is true.
Depending on where it's at. But the ones that purchased, they made it because then they were able to either pull equity out when they needed it, sell the building, rent it out when they wanted to retire or something happened. And so there's always thinking about a business, even though you love your business, what's the exit strategy?
Right. You mentioned a great point, which is being open to feedback and opportunities, and how from having I think you mentioned a gift store and then you moved into real estate. That is a perfect example of how being open to opportunities helps you to find different things that you're interested in, that you never knew you're going to do in the first place, right? For example, when I started off in IT, I never knew that someday I'll be running my own six-figure business, because I started with a minimal salary working for someone. And then when I started seeing different opportunities, I always said yes to different opportunities, because it's okay if I fail, but at least I want to learn new things. That's what led me from being an entry level, like a software developer. Then I became a team lead, then a manager, then a developer evangelist, which is a fancy word for a person who actually speaks for a living. And then I became a tech career coach, right? And just like how you were collecting feedback about how you want your business to be. So I was actually working for another company and doing my coaching part-time till about 2.5 years ago, because I wanted to practice and get feedback and see how I can do it better. And then once I figured out how to make an impact, and also, of course, give me stable income because I'm providing service, that's when I got a whole business plan of okay, this is what I'm going to do right now. And I've been both feet in for the past 2.5 years doing just tech career coaching, right? So being open to opportunities, I think, is really, really important. And your story and basically what I have done in the past 4 or 5 years kind of reflects the same thing.
So now for the IT tech, what advice, or for the people that are in IT or needing help with that as far as consulting or coaching, could you talk a little bit about what you do in that area and how you help people a little bit more in detail on that?
Yeah. So there are two personas of people I help. One is people who want to get into IT from a non-tech background. Second persona is people who want to transition from mid-level job positions to senior level job positions, like leadership positions, right? So those are the two personas of people I help. And the way I provide value is I use my experiences, which I've learned over the past 15 years, leading teams of over 50 people, and then actually coaching people as part of my jobs. I use all those strategies plus my life lessons, which I've learned, to use that to coach people. So when they come to me initially, first thing is I want to figure out how bad they want change. Because as you know, because you're a coach as well, there's some people who just come and they're not ready to change, but they want the change immediately, but they're not willing to put the work, right? Because they're just saying, right? You can take a horse to the pond, but you cannot make it drink. It's the exact same thing. So the first thing which I do is want to see how bad they want it. And then I start doing a profile analysis, which means that where are they at right now currently in terms of their LinkedIn profile, in terms of their resumes, in terms of their skill set, in terms of their interests, right? Then I walk them through an exercise, which I call the mind dump exercise, which is a really simple exercise, which I'll talk about in a second. But I do the mind dump exercise, do the profile analysis, and then we figure out what are the different interest areas in IT they have to focus on. And then we come up with an action plan, like a 3 to 6 month action plan. And then that's how transformation slowly starts happening, right? So that's how I actually help people. But it all starts with the mind dump exercise. So just for the listeners here and the viewers, this is going to be really helpful for you as well. So take your paper and pen and listen to the next 2 minutes, because it's going to be really transformational for you.
Right.
So the mind dump exercise is a really, really simple exercise, but super effective exercise to figure out what your strengths are and what your focus should be. So this is the example I give people. Say you're using Google Maps. Without putting the destination address, you cannot expect to go to a particular destination. And then you cannot say Google Maps does not work properly. Our careers are the exact same thing. If you don't know what you have to focus on, you don't know what to do, where to go, and how, and what will be your dream job or your ideal career, right? So that's why you need to do the mind dump exercise. So what you're going to do is take a paper and pen, put a line right through the middle of the page, okay? On the left side, you're going to list down things which you love doing. On the right side, you're going to write down things which you hate doing, okay? Again, what you love doing, what you hate doing, okay? And you have to do this in an uninterrupted fashion, where no text messaging, no Facebook. For 30 minutes to an hour, you just have to let your mind flow, and it can be anything. It's just not only career related. Just by doing that exercise, you're going to figure out a lot of things about you, because all the things you need to know is already in your mind. You just have to unlock it and make it visible. And that's the whole point of this exercise. So say, for example, some of the things you love to do is I like to collaborate with people. I like to communicate with people. I like creativity. I like processes. Then probably you being a marketing or a sales person in a mid to big tier company is something which would be good for you, right? And another example would be if you just like programming and you hate being micromanaged, you hate process, then being a software developer at a startup company is something which could be of interest for you. So that's how you're going to figure out different buckets, different career options. And say you have a list of 5 career options, choose the top 3, and then come up with an action plan for the next 3 months to focus on it. And just as we have been discussing, do it stuff for 1 month, then analyze what the results are, then pivot. Then the second month, change the plan a little bit. Then third month, change the plan a little bit. And that's how you can find your dream job and your ideal career. And it's a continuing process. It's an ongoing process. But that's kind of the overall picture of how I help people. And my clients are usually VPs, CTOs of startup companies, or people who want to transition from the mid to senior level positions. So
nice. I love that activity. That's really helpful. And then, like you said, you applied for 1,000 blah blah blah. I forgot
293 jobs.
and you ended up with 1. 4 of them you interviewed or something, and then it was 1. So
Right.
you know, it's not going to be like the first thing you apply to is not going to be the place that's going to give you that job. It might happen, but statistically, it may be the 1,000th something that it happens. So don't give up. I think one of the other things that I advise people to do, especially now, if you're really good at something, if you have a talent and you're applying, keep applying, but then go volunteer. I'm not saying forever. I'm just saying show up to something you care about and volunteer the service you are best at. They will see you. Not only they will either give you a letter that you need of recommendation, or they will hire you. And I don't know, in my life and with my grown kids, I see that happen. And later the people are like, okay, we're going to just fill out this application, but you already have the job. Because I see who you are, how you show up, the work you do, and I like you, you're hired. Just fill this form out. It's like just a formality.
Exactly, because that's where the whole personal brand comes into picture, right? In a lot of interviews and talks I give, people ask me quite often, what's one single advice would you give for people to advance their career in IT? I would say, build your personal brand. Because this is the thing. Just take a raw example. Say your favorite body wash, right? And you've been using it for like 7 years. The reason you've been using it for 7 years is because you like the shape of the body wash. You like the fragrance of the body wash. You like the cost of the body wash. You like how you can hold it, right? You love the packaging. You love the different varieties of body wash within the same brand you could get, right? So just for a body wash, there's different facets of a body wash, which makes you like the body wash, which makes you buy it for 7 years, which makes you attracted towards it. Our personal brand is the exact same way. It's not just you're a good programmer. It's not just you're a good communicator. It's about different facets of you, which is going to make up your personal brand. Like you gave an example of volunteering, which is so important because at the end of the day, especially right now, there are about like 1,000 people applying for the same job.
Right.
Why would someone pick you compared to other people? You need to set yourself miles apart from the competition. And the way to do that is building your personal brand, right? And there's so many different ways you could do it. Like you have to grow your network where talk to people, attend conferences, go to meetup groups, connect with people on LinkedIn, start the conversation, right? That is a simple example of how we can start growing your network. And also seek out mentors and coaches who have already gone through that journey who could help you out, right? Because, for example, you don't have to apply for 1,293 jobs, right? To be frank with you, for the first 500 jobs, I had no clue what I was doing because I was panicking. And then I was applying for any job I see without a plan, without a strategy. But if you follow some strategies, which I also mentioned in my book, you are going to find your dream job a lot faster. You don't have to have 1,293 jobs. Trust me, you can figure out stuff within the first 15, 20 jobs. But the point here is building your personal brand is so important. And that's why you need to be open for different opportunities. Say, for example, you're a sales consultant. If you get some other opportunity, which is related to marketing, don't say no to it. Like how Sheila was saying, she hired a marketing firm, but then she wanted to see how they do marketing. And then she started doing her marketing and she was able to save costs. Yeah. That's the exact same thing. And that's what people have to do, especially right now. If you want to set yourself miles apart from the competition, then start building your brand, start growing your network, start taking courses, extra courses on LinkedIn, Coursera, Udemy, and start doing unpaid internships. People think if they have to find jobs, it should be a full-time job. No, you can do an internship. You can do an unpaid internship, gain that experience for the first 5-6 months, and then use that in your resume to get your ideal full-time job, especially for college grads, especially for people with less experience. This is something which can help you get your foot in the door, right? So keep those things in mind, and that's how you build your personal brand.
It's so true. I mean, I was working with politics, but nonpartisan, everyone, not nonpartisan. and I was so young, and I was helping out with equal education for all in the United States and getting our school system to par. And that, it was so interesting because I was invited to work for big candidates. They were like, what's your political party? And I said, Free Spirit. I mean, I didn't know Democrat, Republican. Is it Free Spirit? Is that a party? and I was hired and I was making a bunch of money, but it was leadership. It was leading teams. It was leading campaigns. I ended up taking over somebody's campaign, working for some very big names and learning about politics as I went. But it was, they hired me as the brand of being able to connect with people and lead people. That was the brand they hired. And I never applied for anything. I wasn't even looking. So I don't do politics anymore. But anyway, to be
good for you. Yeah, you don't want to get into that mess right now.
But just nonpartisan, just for the kids.
One thing I want to mention was, I'm a living example of how building a personal brand helps you, because my last 7 jobs I've got, I haven't submitted even a single resume. It was all through my network.
That
That's
is
to show you that if you have a network, if you grow your brand, then
Mhm.
instead of you trying to search for jobs, people can come to you
Yes.
to hire you, right? And
Yes.
again, I'm an average guy. Trust me. So people who are watching, I don't want to give you any false hopes or impressions. I am not a superstar. As you know from my story, which I just mentioned during the start of this interview, I'm an average guy. But it's all about how you show up. It's
Mhm.
all about, again, your mindset and belief system. If you feel that you can do it, you can do it. You have to be only true to your conscience. You don't have to answer for to other people. You have to answer to yourself. Have you done your part? Have you put in the 100% effort which you think you could have done or put, right? And that's all it's all about. You have to run your own race. Don't run other people's race, but you have to run your own race. And that is something you definitely have to keep in mind, because I still struggle with that being in the industry I am in right now. But I always try to take a step back and say, hey, okay, for the past 1 week, I've been doing so many things just because another person was doing it. What's
Yeah.
my vision? What's my goal? What's my focus? Who do I stand for? What do I stand for? Right. So you need to start asking those questions and get back into your center and then start focusing again. Those are something just to keep in mind.
Very good. I love that. One question that comes to mind with IT, and I know this is probably something that comes to the audience's mind too, is there's a lot out there of there's a lot of people that do IT out there that have let us down. And I mean, that's just 100% honest, where you hire somebody and you might pay them the price of a car to do
Right.
a website or something, and then you end up doing a lot of the work yourself. Or, well, for me, I had to learn WordPress and finish my own website pretty much, and they're
Mm-hmm.
still behind on certain pieces, and it's like I'm disappointed. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking for, how do we, as maybe listeners that are not in IT,
Mm-hmm.
and find really somebody that's going to be accountable and get the job done.
Great question. Even I struggle with it being in IT, right? There are always going to be bad apples in a bunch of really good apples, and that's the way of life.
Mm-hmm.
But you bring up an important point, which is building trust and credibility, and it applies to our coaching styles as well. What makes people come to you? When you provide value, establish trust and
Right.
credibility, and
Right.
then people know that, okay, you do decent work. The problem most often is we have a bunch of people, like say 20 people we shortlist for, say, for your website design, and we have like some reviews there, then we see which is the highest review and just go with it without even having a conversation. That's why it's really important to first be clear on what problem you want to be solved, because that is the first thing you need to keep in mind, because a lot of people think they have a problem, but it's a totally different problem. So of course the person you hire is not going to do the right work for you, because you don't have a clear uh, you don't have clarity on what needs to be solved, what problem you have, right? So first, get clear on what problem you have. Second one is, with social media, you can see how the particular person has been interacting with people. You can see the person's portfolio. You can see the person's credibility with what social media posts they have, what kind of work they've already done, what kind of websites they've already done, right? I'm just taking the example of website design just to make it
Right.
simpler here. So do your research. So first is clarity and what problem has to be solved. Second one is research. Third one is you need to talk to that person and see whether you have the connection, because there's some people you can talk to where immediately you can say, you know what, this is the guy or this is the girl I want. She knows what she's doing and I really trust her, right? And you need to have the connection with someone you're going to work with and who's going to work for you, especially when you're investing a lot of money,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And it again applies to even our coaching business. If people pay us money, they have to trust us. Why would someone pay 5, 10K for them to grow without knowing what you actually provide to them, what value you provide to them. So when talking to a person, you can feel that connection and see what kind of value you could get from that person, right? So clarity in problem, then research, and then seeing whether you have a connection. Those are the three main things we're going to help for any non-tech person to hire an IT person for any needs. And of course, you always have reviews and stuff which you can look at, but a lot of people just make up shit, so you don't know whether those are true or not unless you actually talk to the person and see their portfolio. But since you asked, these were the top three things which I personally look out for, because I have VAs who work for me, I have salespeople who work for me, and for me, connection is really important. You can spend how much ever money you want, but if you don't have the connection, you are doing injustice not only to yourself but even for the other person, because you're going to prevent that person from growing as well because you don't have the connection. So don't do that, and get that connection, and then once you see the credibility and the value, then go for it.
I think, and one of the questions I've learned to ask now with my own experience, I mean, I used to program a million years ago. When I was 18, I worked at JPL and did programming.
Okay.
On DOS. This is how long ago. And Database 3+ and Fortran and all that. And so I could learn. I can't. It's just completely not my thing. It's like I did not enjoy doing 8 hours a night of WordPress for 3 months.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I did not enjoy that at all. And one of the questions, I did go with somebody I really trusted, and I thought they were going to have their people do it, but they outsourced.
I see.
And I'm communicating with people that don't speak my language, and they would make so many mistakes, and then we'd have to correct it. And then I hired somebody to help me correct to get things done on time. And I had to learn. I was like, okay, well, let me roll up my sleeves and learn, how to build a car, and right. I not like WordPress. It's not my favorite program. It's very slow and clunky, but I did it, and it's nice to know you can do something, but also, so that's a question is, are you outsourcing? And if so, I want to speak to the people I'm going to be working with.
Exactly. The person who actually does the work, right?
Yeah, I missed, because I was like, okay, great. I know you as a person and I see your results. Let's do this. But right. I didn't realize I could have just outsourced myself, I guess, and saved a car and many hours of work. But anyway, so it's really important when you don't know IT. And,
right.
I mean, there's a lot of people, there's no way they're going to be able to. I stayed up all night and did it myself.
I hate WordPress. In fact, I moved my website from WordPress to Squarespace because it's much easier. Yes. WordPress is really clunky, yes. For sure. Yeah.
Very much so. Well, anyway, we are coming to the end of our talk time almost. So I'd love for you to share how people can connect with you, maybe a little bit about the book that's coming up soon, and that kind of information.
Yeah. So as Sheila was saying, my new book was just released a couple of days ago. It's called SKYROCKET Your Career, the no bullshit approach to find your dream job, be successful in it, and transform into a rock star. And I wrote this book because a lot of people are anxious about their job security. They feel stuck in their career. They have the fear of the unknown and are afraid to take the leap to the next level in their career, right? Mm-hmm. And using my real life experiences, going through different types of adversities, I share different strategies which can help you find your dream job, be massively successful in it, and set yourself miles apart from the competition, right? So that's what the book is about. It's about how to advance your career. And how the book is different from other books you may have read is, in a lot of self-help books, they either talk about experiences or they talk about strategies. But for me, I found it hard to understand how these strategies weave into these experiences. And that's the gap my book is going to fill as well. It's going to show you that the power to make a transformation is already within you. You just have to believe in yourself and also follow the different strategies, which I literally mentioned in the book with activity sheets and workbooks, so that you can immediately start the transformation journey in your career right now. So yeah, go check it out. It's on my book website. It's called SKYROCKETYourCareerBook.com. That's where you're going to find all the information about the book. And if you want to connect with me, I'm super active on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is my jam. So make sure you follow me there. I love connecting with new people and helping them out as well. So definitely follow me there. And yeah, that's how you can find all information about me. And let's connect.
Definitely. All right. Well, thank you again for being a guest on the show. And I look forward to reading your new book. All right. Thank you. And we will be back after these messages. Stay tuned.
Thank you.